Hello everyone, Riskmonger here. Welcome to MLB 17 The Show, where we are not seeing the Boston Red Sox take on the Houston Astros, but rather the Divisional All-Stars of the AL East and the AL West, represented by the teams that won their respective divisions. Here are two such All-Stars, Boston lefty ace Chris Sale and Los Angeles Angels center fielder Mike Trout. If you're not familiar with the concept of Divisional All-Stars, I'll explain while George Springer comes to the plate, an actual Astro, already with a full count because I'm using the fast counts feature. These are very similar to the All-Star teams you see at mid-season, but instead of fans voting on 2 teams, 1 per league, I construct rosters for 8 teams, 1 for each division and 1 wildcard team per league, based on fantasy points, and pit them against each other in this playoff-style matchup. And as Sale loses the first batter of the game via the walk, let's take a look at the West's lineup. You can pause the video here if you want to take a closer look. Now back to the game and into recap mode. After Chris Sale's first hiccup, he would heat up, facing perennial MVP candidate Mike Trout, striking him out looking. And then actual 2017 AL MVP Jose Altuve, getting him on a well-located pitch. Sale would get out of the inning. In the bottom of the first now, the East leadoff hitter Mookie Betts will lead off against Dallas Keuchel of the Astros, the West ace, who doesn't get an intro because I have it set to fast play, which I don't think is fair. You get batter walk-ups, you get relief pitcher intros, but nothing from the starting pitcher. And as Betts beats out the backhanded throw from Alex Bregman, let's look at the rest of the West pitching staff. Again, pause it here if you want to peruse the bullpen. But the first run of the game would come in the bottom of the second, courtesy of Adam Jones, coming up with 2 runners on. He's batting 9th here, even though he hit cleanup for the Orioles last year. And he smacks one to deep right field. Springer will run it down. But the runner, Didi Gregorius, tags up and scores from third on the sacrifice fly. As you can see, he's safe, as the score is now 1-0. And the scoring would continue versus Keuchel. In the bottom of the 5th, Blue Jays first baseman Justin Smoak grounds an RBI single, making it 4-0. By the 6th inning, the West was into its bullpen. This is former Angels longman Yusmeiro Petit, who will stay in the AL West after signing a free agent deal with Oakland. He gets the strikeout. On the other side, Chris Sale was on a roll through 7. As you can see, his lanky frame getting the strikeout of Bregman. In the 8th, we see another important bullpen weapon for the West, Chris Davinsky of the Astros, as we see him use his funky delivery to induce a double play, slick fielding all around. And going into the 9th with a score of 4-0, it's not a save situation, which means the computer will not bring in the East closer. Instead, we get Yankees long relief ace Chad Green. He's facing Rangers shortstop Elvis Andrus, who, if it weren't for Carlos Correa's thumb injury, might not even be on this team. But Andrus belts one deep and gone over the head of Aaron Judge, playing out of position, which means it's 4-1, a 3-run deficit, and the computer is finally allowed to bring in, known for his trademark claw delivery and for his nasty stuff, Kimbrel didn't escape this inning unscathed as he gave up a double to Yulieski Gurriel, who narrowly won the first base spot over Yonder Alonso, who played for 2 different AL West teams in 2017. But Kimbrel would pull it together to get the save, striking out Trout on a high heat for the 2nd time tonight. Here's a better view, courtesy of the in-game highlight reel, and Kimbrel gets the save. But the player of the game has to be starter Chris Sale, who's, looks like his arm is stuck in the worst position. The co-ace pitcher for the Aries Fantasy Astrology team pitched 8 innings, striking out 8, but also walking 5 and giving up 4 hits, and getting the win. Here's the final line score. You can pause it here if you want to look at it longer, because we're on to Game 2. And remember, it's actually the AL East Divisional All-Stars with the 1-0 lead. And here's the lineup superimposed there for you. And the spotlight tonight is on Manny Machado, formerly of third base, and starter Yu Darvish, formerly of the Texas Rangers, which is why he qualifies for the AL West in 2017. But first, let's check in with the East number 2 starter, Luis Severino of the Yankees, who starts things off well with a strikeout of George Springer in a clean inning. Here's the rest of that East rotation. Again, pause it here if you want more info. As we go to the very first batter faced by Yu Darvish, it's Mookie Betts. And remember the last time we saw Darvish in 2017, giving up all those runs for the Dodgers in the World Series? Well, he's doing something similar here, giving up a monster home run to Betts to put the East on top 1-0. But the West would get that run back in the next inning thanks to a controversial roster decision on my part. Evan Gattis was technically a part-time catcher for the Astros in 2017, with Mike Zunino of the Mariners actually holding the statistical edge for AL West catchers, according to fantasy points. But I gave Gaddis the start against righties because he's a much more potent offensive force. As you can see here, forcing that ground ball through the hole, scoring Elvis Andrus, and tying the game at 1. That tie would only last until the 4th inning, as you can see Adam Jones again. Actually, you can't really see him that well under the text, but he's driving in 2 with a double to make it 3-1 East. Then 2 batters later, catcher Gary Sanchez hits a 3-run homer. You'll have to take my word for it, as there was no good shot of that replay, except for the ball sneaking around. Is that Pesky's pole or something? Fenway's weird. Anyway, Severino keeps it going with some defensive help. A diving stop by Didi Gregorius feeds to Jonathan Scope, who completes the double play. The West would make it close in the 7th when Yuli Gurriel hits a big homer over the monster. Again, don't have a shot of that swing, but that one also hits the foul pole. And with a score of 6-3, that means Craig Kimbrell is fair game to go 2 days in a row. He'll face slugging A's outfielder Chris Davis, and have no problem against him. As you can see from the replay, he's chasing a fastball. Well, that wasn't great, so here it is in real time. But the player of the game is not who ended it, but the one who started the scoring. Libra outfielder Mookie Betts, who hit that leadoff home run. He also had 2 more hits and scored another run. Here's one of the 2 other hits. An opposite field double in the 4th to set up that 3-run homer. So he gets credit for being the table setter as he flies around the bases. Here's the final line score with an actual picture of Betts. And now it's time for Game 3. Now we're at Minute Maid Park. The lineups are the same, so no need to cover up the nice view of the stadium. Our key players are once again Mike Trout, this time wearing a cool retro jersey, and East starting pitcher Chris Archer, the ace of the Tampa Bay Rays, and also for Team USA in the 17 WBC. The first starter for the West is Canadian lefty James Paxton, who pitches for the Mariners, and he's facing Manny Machado, strikes him out looking with a runner on. Here's an artist's rendering of our 2 starters tonight. But back to the action in the first, it's AL Rookie of the Year Aaron Judge, normally of the Yankees, blasting a 2-run homer that gets out of here in a hurry. Man, that's like a home run derby shot. I wish I could have seen the bat flip on that one. Adam Jones would keep the party going an inning later with 2 runners on, hitting a double down the right field line that just manages to stay fair. That scored 2 more. Then in the 4th innings, Manny Machado, star infielder for the Cancer Fantasy Astrology team, who struck out earlier, strikes one out of here. Watch the shadow on the grass as that ball bounces off the wall. Big-time opposite field home run to left. Another 2-run shot. No matter where he plays the field during his walk year, Machado can hit. And this replay is a good chance to see the attention to detail of the stadium. Machado's homer would help chase James Paxton from the game in favor of Brad Peacock, who's actually the AL West's 5th starter, doing the oops, drop my glove routine, coming in from the bullpen. I changed him to the long relief specialist for this elimination game. And he's facing Didi Gregorius, who narrowly beat out Xander Bogaerts of the actual Red Sox for the shortstop gig. And the Dutchman comes through, hitting a gapper to the right side, scoring 1, but look at this. Mike Trout is up throwing. Perfect relay to Altuve. We got a play at the plate. And Smoke is out. But 1 run would score. It's now 7-0, and it's only the 4th. Still in the 4th, here's Nelson Cruz, DH for the Mariners, and also for the Cancer Astrology fantasy team. He hits a big fly ball to left field. Not quite enough to leave the yard, but good enough to score the speedy Altuve from first. But 1 run is all they would get, and Chris Archer stayed hot, striking out Alex Bregman in the 6th. Same inning, Mike Trout goes down swinging, and it would remain 7-1. Into the 8th inning, when the West would bring in Angels setup man Blake Parker, who drops his glove just like Peacock did before him. And that pitching change proved to be a mistake, as Manny Machado once again, with a runner at first, perfectly places one in the gap. It's now 8-1. And with a very comfortable lead going into the 9th, it's not Kimbrell, but Chad Green again. And what is it with dropping these gloves today? Green would come in, and that's an interesting highlight. Yes, Altuve did take ball 3. But then right after that, he took strike 3. The game is over. The AL West is eliminated from the Divisional All-Stars 2017 tournament. And the player of the game is starter Chris Archer, whose arm is frozen in a much more comfortable looking position than Chris Sale's was in Game 1. The Libra pitcher also pitched 8 innings, allowed 1 run, 14 strikeouts. That's from your number 3 starter. And as we take a look at the final line score, that's it for this series. The AL East advances, and I'll see you next time for more Divisional All-Star action.